minister is online at a gas station. It's a very long line, and the attendant's doing everything he can to move the line through so that people can get gas and get going on the way. Finally gets up to the minister and goes, "Reverend, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for the delay, but people seem to wait to the very last second to get what they need before a long trip." Minister laughs and goes, "It's the same in my business." The meaning of the body, human body. This actually turns out, when Jasmine approached me about talking about this, she didn't know that this is actually one of my favorite topics. And my bent on it has very little to do with spirituality in and of itself. I know, minister standing up here talking and not going to talk much about spirituality. Go figure. Okay. What we have here, and the other thing about this is another title I would have for this talk is Failure to Launch. And I will get to why that is in a bit. Okay, but first, let's talk about, what happens. We come into this world, and what we have here is the first situation, which is the identity prayer we're talking about, which has the line, "We were never born and cannot die." We were never born and cannot die. I believe that. Ernest Holmes believes that. It's the heart of our teaching, right? So what is it about these human bodies? Here's the thing. Here's what I believe to be true about all this. We chose to be here. We were in this oneness, this eternal oneness, peace, calm, everything, love. And then all of a sudden, for some reason which I can't tell you why, we decide it's time to take a vacation in a dualistic world. Now, I say vacation because we're only here for a short period of time, right? At best, we get about 100 or so years, and most don't make it to that. So this is a limited vacation from eternal bliss. We had eternal bliss, and we chose to come in to this dualistic world. Now, there are folks who believe that this dualistic world is an illusion, but I don't believe that. I believe it's very real for the bodies that we're in. So we make this, so for whatever got us to want to do this, right? Probably because, it was something different and it looked like fun. And we get to go on this merry-go-round more than once, right? Because I know for myself, maybe you haven't felt this way, but I know that for me, since early on in life, felt like I had been here before. Of course, I felt like I had been here before as royalty, and have spent a good part of my life not understanding why people didn't treat me as such. So it occurred to me that there's a possibility here that this time, I always think of that story about the prince and the pauper and how they decide to trade places. And I have felt that way a good part of my life, that I was a prince and this time decided to come as a pauper, and I can't figure out why. But that's what the choice I must have made, given many of the life choices and things I've gone through and until I found this teaching that said, actually, I get to choose. And then I opened up to the idea that, wow, I have more power here than I thought, so that I could bring up my life to be a different level than it had been for a very long time, that where I thought it was as good as it gets, and now I realize there is no end to how good as it gets. And started recognizing the wonderland that we live in, and how, for what it looks like to me, what if what happened here is, how kids know so much more and then forget, and then we all have to spend our lives remembering again. Like kids, they get into a group and they go, okay, we're going to play cowboys and Indians, and some got to be cowboys and some got to be Indians. And then others go, okay, we're going to play doctor, and some got to be doctors and some got to be patients. And then some don't like what they got stuck being, and they tell them, okay, next time you get to play the other role. What if it's really like that and we just forgot as we got older and started thinking that life was actually serious instead of this being the vacation that we came here to have, filled with touch, smells, sight, drama, laughter, all the things we like to watch over there on the screen, but really sometimes have a really hard time experiencing in our own lives. And yet, what if that's all this is? You know, people come into this world and they give meaning to their lives. And everyone seems to have a different meaning they have given to their life. And every single one of them is right. We all get to choose our meaning. What is it about these human bodies? They create duality. They separate us. They create a dualistic environment where all kinds of stuff goes on that if we were all one wouldn't be going on. And the intenseness and the width and breadth and depth of the difference in the dramas that occur are pretty incredible. I mean, it's just amazing how many different stories there can be in so many people's different lives that's going on all at once. And then after, so many years, we're gone. Back to the oneness in which we came before we chose to be here. That's kind of a wild thing, right? So many people come into this world and after childhood or in childhood or whatever decide this is serious business. Others, like myself, tend to not take it so seriously most of the time. Sometimes I get caught up in the drama, but a lot of times it looks to me like this is pretty hilarious what goes on here in terms of how we treat each other, in terms of what we think is important. I judge what I think is important by what happens in certain situations and what I would do in those situations. And in a lot of the times, I really don't have a clue. I mean, I can guess, right? Have you ever been in a situation where how you behaved was very different from how you thought you'd behave before you were in that situation? That certainly has happened to me. Has it happened for any of you, or am I like the only one? Okay, so what we have here is we keep living these lives, we keep gaining information, we keep experiencing this and that. Some come into this life, to this wonderland, to this amusement park. They pick a ride, and they go, this is my ride, and I'm staying on this ride, and I'm staying right here. They're happy, they're doing their thing, whatever. Somewhere later in life, they may go, geez, I really haven't tried many other rides in this park. Maybe I should go check out some stuff. Me personally, I started very young with, I'm going to try as many rides as I can. I've done 89 different types of work. That's a lot of rides. I finally found one I actually like. It took a while. But I didn't care. I was out there just trying stuff out, I mean, this is a massive, incredible world we live in with so much different stuff going on that we can key into. Whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do, whatever your calling is, there's something here that will allow for that if you go in that direction, if you pick that up, and if you want to do that. Do you know what I mean? You guys are with me on this? And so we can very much get lost in the fact that, oh my God, this is all there is. We're in these bodies. This is life. There's something greater. And so how does this all lead to failure to launch? Well, let me tell you. Let's start with what we talk about when it comes to failure to launch mostly, which has to do with a kid who then grows into an adult and never leaves home. They actually made a movie about this, right, called Failure to Launch. It was with Matthew McConaughey and Sarah Jessica Parker. The parents were played by Terry Bradshaw and Kathy Bates. It was a great movie about these parents who are doing everything they can to get their grown 30-something son to move, who's actually financially successful, to move out of the house. But they can't do it, so they hire somebody to date their son and convince him that he needs to move out if they want to continue dating. In fact, in the movie, she has actually developed an entire, talk about creating your life, creating your work in the world. She created a job out of going and getting these failure to launch guys out of the house. She created that job in this movie, right? Unfortunately, it takes all these turns. She falls in love with him, really, and da-da-da-da-da. It does their story. But what it's about is getting somebody to grow up, to move out, and then to navigate and be settled in life. So how does that relate back to what we're talking about in terms of our bodies? We're in this oneness, and we decide we want to leave home. We want to go on this vacation. We want to take this little bit of time out of eternity, right? Because 100 years or less out of eternity is a very, very little amount of time. Are we clear about that? It's a little amount of time to then go and do whatever it is we want to do here that might be fun. And I'm really big on the word fun. Now, does that mean that sometimes when we're doing something fun, there's unfun parts to it? No. I love being a minister. This is fun as all get out. Are there unfun parts to this job? Absolutely. Okay? You know, but and in fact, I have done some things where I had to learn something else I never wanted to learn and now know more about other things I never wanted to learn than I ever wanted to learn. But I had to learn those to do what I thought was fun. Like, for instance, making movies, right? If I want to make movies, which I do, I like having fun. I play with film a lot. Now it's all done on the computer, so you got to know a lot about computers to make movies. Who would have thought that? You thought you just had film and that was that. But now you got to know everything you can about computers to make movies. That's kind of crazy. Now I run this building. So I have found I have had to learn more about building maintenance than I ever wanted to know as a minister. But I love the job, so it goes along with it, so I do that. So yes, even when we're having fun, like having kids, right? I don't know about you, if you've ever had kids, you're going to have kids or whatever. There are things you had to learn about having kids you didn't know, and you would have rather not had to know, but you had to know because that's what made it work out best, right? Those who run away from those kind of relationships, those kind of responsibilities, those who say, I can't do that kind of stuff, they don't get to have the fullness of experience of being a parent or being whatever it is they're doing than those who dive in, who dig in, who go, okay, let's do the best we can here and, learn whatever we got to learn about this. So I don't believe that we're here for school. I believe that we're here to play, but if we want to play well, we got to learn. Because navigation becomes a really big part of play in this world, given all the stuff you wind up having to deal with everybody else wanting to play the games that they're playing, right? Some guy comes along and says, what I want to be is a mass murderer. Well, that's a rough game for somebody to want to come in and play, but because we have free will, he actually gets to do that, or she actually gets to do that. So then there's all these other people who go, well, if he's going to do that, then I better play at being a cop and stop this guy, girl, whatever. Then there are terrorists. People come and go, I'm going to play at being a terrorist in this life. And then you have all these other people going, well, then I better be the anti-terrorist. And so these games develop that don't feel like games because it looks like people get hurt, but nobody really gets hurt because these bodies are temporary. But it looks so darn serious, and we get so involved, and we get so attached that it's real. Have you ever sat I watched a movie the other day called Wonder. It's an incredible movie. I must have cried 10, 15 times during that film. I got so involved in the story. And that was just on a screen. I get even more involved in my life when something happens to my kid or my wife or her kids or somebody I care about. I'm involved. I care. It hurts, right? We feel it. And I think that's so cool that we get to have these depths of feelings. Because that's what we came here to do. You got a guy like Paladin Gyatso. You know I've talked about him a lot. That's the guy who was tortured by the Chinese for 33 years and came out of it completely enlightened. I mean, this guy's face, you just look at him and go, oh my God, how did that happen? You know? And all I could think of was, that's what he wanted. He wanted an experience. He wanted to play in the world as somebody who actually had whatever experience, whatever it took to get to a place of enlightenment. And I guess that's what it thought it took, because he came out of that, and he is a hero in the Tibetan world. He's a hero to me. This guy tortured 33 years every day of his life, 33 years, and comes out, and he's so enlightened. It's so clear that love is all there is on his face. He sees beyond the veil that so many of us can't. Thich Nhat Hanh, another one, who is clear about the veil. Not that this isn't real. Not that suffering is not real. These people don't say that suffering isn't real. They just say there's something beyond it, that there's a veil we're caught in. Now, me, I really like being engaged. I really like getting in there and feeling the feelings and being a part of it and getting all, and then getting, and then getting this, and then getting that, and feeling the feelings on my skin. I love the air in my face, right? I love being at the beach when that spray hits you, and it just feels so good. You don't get to feel those things if you don't got a body. We get to do so much because we have a body that you just don't get to do without one. I spend so much time just, touching my wife. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, because I'm just taking as much advantage of that in the short vacation time I have as possible. I'm telling you, it's like I can't, being human, I'm going to make sure I get the most out of this. I want to inspire you to do the same. Don't be afraid of those, what's called deep, dark emotions. They're going to pass. You're going to die. They're going to pass. You know what a failure to launch is? Suicide. That's somebody who never actually fully got that they could change their lives, do something completely different, and have a different experience here. We have this incredible wonderland before us. People, the folks who get up here and sing, that's them, showing their love and being in that love and giving in a way that makes them feel good. And because they get to feel good, you get to feel good, right? Because you get to listen to them. I get to listen. We all get to listen to them doing that, and it sounds great. And so sometimes when people play the parts they're here to play, it really lifts up a tremendous amount of other people. Sometimes when people come here and play the parts they came here to play, it actually, it creates an opportunity for others to rise. And that is what we got here. We got people who are rising, and we got people who are creating opportunities for people to rise. I mean, in the end, that's what's going on here. And we learn what we need to learn so that we can play the games we want to play, because playing a game well, when a musician plays well, like our musicians here, it really comes across well, and they get to be happy, and we get to be happy. So mastering how to navigate whatever it is you want to play at in life is a really good idea, which usually takes some learning. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Let me see what else I got here for you today. So on the failure to launch front, I actually... there was a time where I was a failure to launch, not in the sense of not leaving home, because not leaving my parents' home, because I left my parents' home at 17. But I had a peak experience very early in life, where I felt at complete oneness. And I have chased that experience, and I wound up chasing that experience for decades. And every once in a while achieving another one. But achieved so few of them that it was actually killing my self-esteem because I was I was doing all the right things. I was meditating, I was affirming and doing this and doing that. And even though my life seemed to be improving here on this plane, that's not what I wanted. What I wanted was to live in that oneness. And by not having that, it was killing me. And I didn't even know it. And so one day I come across this book by a Dr. Gerald May called Will and Spirit, where he talks about, he doesn't use the words failure to launch, but that's basically what he's saying in there. What he's talking about is the idea that if you spend your life trying to live where you came from, trying to be in oneness all the time in a dualistic field, you're going to kill your self-esteem, make yourself feel worse, because it's not possible to be in a dualistic world and be in oneness all the time. The way to be in oneness all the time is give up your body. Some folks do that. Some folks hold on to their bodies long after it's useful. So you got to decide for yourself when the right time is. But for me, what happened in that, in realizing that, oh my God, this is really about navigating in this world, right here. This solid physical plane, navigating in here in a way where I remember, so I kept meditating, that I am at one, that there's something going on that's larger than this dualistic world, but the dualistic world is not an illusion. It's real, it's our vacation home. And we came here to play. In whatever way makes sense to each of us for what our personal sensibilities are. Yeah, I'm a news reader. I do not look away from the news. I want to know what's going on in the world, and how I like to play is thinking about what ways can I impact some of the things I don't like about what's going on in the world. And maybe I'll figure something out, and maybe that'll work. But I like to play that way, and I like to make sure I'm taking action in that direction. Like, for instance, the homeless population. I know I want to impact that somehow. Being here with you guys, I know I want to impact and be inspiring as often as I can here with you. So I work at this stuff. I play at this stuff. Sometimes it feels like work. But a lot of times it feels like play because I remember that's what it is. It's really up to you to remember what it is you're doing here. And if it feels like work, how can you shift it, take it less serious, find a way to be with it so that it feels like play? Because it's not a long time before this is done. And then you'll be back in the oneness. And you'll have your eternal peace, and you'll have the internal grace of God, and all the things that many of us wish for now and get specks of, get to visit once in a while, but we're here to navigate in this. So let's play together. Let's do this together. Let's have fun. Let's find ways. Anybody comes to me here and says they want to volunteer, I ask, what do you want to do? What would be fun for you? Because that's how I see it. And when somebody does a job here that's really fun for them, they really shine at it, and they're really good at it. And things really seem to grow in a really good way when people start plugging in where they're best doing it. And let's do that outside of here too. Let's find where we plug in that's really fun for us, that feels good to us, so that we can feel like we're vacationing. Because the vacation ends. And Thich Nhat Hanh, he was beautiful around that. Paladin Gatso, he wrote a book called Compassion for My Torturer. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be compassionate towards everything, even his torturer. Thich Nhat Hanh, taming the tiger within. He's all about seeing what's beneath the anger. These are people who understand that we're here to play and have compassion for those who see it more seriously. So let's have compassion for anyone who takes life too seriously because they suffer. Let us have compassion for those who are caught not even knowing there's more because they suffer. And let us know that we get to play. We get to play in working towards helping those who are suffering. We get to play in gaining lots of money and prestige, if that's how we want to play. We get to play by discovering something brand new that's never been discovered before. Whatever, we get to play by simply being, who we are in the world and how we want to be. But if you are taking life so seriously that it hurts, open to the idea that there's a way to be here, that this is vacation, you get to play, and then you die. Because that's how it goes. You're here, and then you go back to home. Enjoy your time here. Let's enjoy it together. Thank you. All right. Take out what you're going to give. Hold it in your hand. Unrumple it. Open it up. Doesn't matter how much or how little or whatever. Hold it in your hand so that you know that this is you. This is your energy that you are putting forth. You are putting forth in the world, that through your energy, you get to have your law of circulation multiply abundantly. This is how we grow together, by giving, by playing, by being one with each other in the giving and the receiving. Because the more you give, the more you receive. But you got to give with energy and power. So let's read this together. God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What we give, we receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.